This is the man dubbed Ecuador's Julian Assange, walking free from a Quito jail after 84 days behind bars.
¿Qué opina? Tanto tiempo detenido. ¿Le parece justo?
No puedo ahorita responder.
Aliaksandr Barankov used to be a financial crimes investigator in Belarus, a former Soviet republic notorious for human rights abuses. Like Assange, he says he uncovered government secrets that put him in danger. Barankov fled to Ecuador in 2009 after learning of financial corruption linked to Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. He thought he was safe when Ecuador granted him asylum.
You are so beautiful.
But in June this year, out of the blue, Barankov was arrested by police outside his apartment.
They ask of my documents. I say, I have my documents in apartment, please let me show to you that I'm a refugee here. He say, no, you are not more refugee in Ecuador. You have to go with us.
El presidente Correa le dio la bienvenida y le invitó a saludar a unos pocos.
It was perhaps no coincidence that 3 weeks later, Lukashenko rolled into town to sign agreements with Ecuador's president, Rafael Correa.
Aliaksandr Barankov está acusado de soborno y fraude en su país. Le han denominado el Julian Assange de Bielorrusia y su suerte también está en manos del Ecuador.
Thanks to the publicity around his case, Aliaksandr Barankov is once again a free man, but he's still shaken. He says extradition to Belarus would amount to a death sentence.
I'm scared of my life. To kill somebody in Belarusian jail, it's very easy.
His story shows that asylum in Ecuador is no guarantee of safety.
Why would the government want to kill you?
Because they know that I know.
This week I am joined by the President of Ecuador, Rafael Correa.
2 weeks before Barankov's arrest, Correa was getting chummy with Julian Assange during an interview for Russia Today, Russia's English language news channel.
Where are you, in England?
I am in England under house arrest now for 500 days.
500 days?
With no charge.
Okay.
Barankov was still in jail when Ecuador's Foreign Minister, Ricardo Patiño, made his historic announcement.
El gobierno del Ecuador, fiel a su tradición de proteger a quienes buscan amparo en su territorio o en los locales de sus misiones diplomáticas, ha decidido conceder asilo diplomático al ciudadano Julian Assange.
Journalists in Ecuador were cynical. Why was the government protecting Assange at the same time as it sought to strip Barankov of his refugee status?
When some newspapers start to print my situation here, many people with who I was in jail, they say me, you have to say just in court that you are brother of Assange and you will be free.
By offering Assange asylum, Rafael Correa has been criticised for more than one double standard. A charismatic and popular president, he's won 2 elections and done much to help Ecuador's poor. But although Correa basks in public support, he's gone to war with the country's media.
Ya no sean tan puercos. Y a esta porquería le damos la del zorro, prensa como buitre, que esto me causa repulsión. Cavernaria, prensa corrupta, grosera, cobarde, pasquín.
These insults from Correa's weekly television broadcasts were compiled by Fundamedios, an independent organisation monitoring media freedom in Ecuador.
No sean engañados por estos sinvergüenzas.
Little wonder Correa's government is now accused of hypocrisy.
What did you think when you heard Ecuador's foreign minister announce that Julian Assange would be given asylum here?
Lo que me dio risa es quién les dio el asilo político. Porque no pueden, por un lado, defender a este superhéroe de la transparencia y de la libertad de expresión, y por otro lado, aquí en el país, hacer exactamente todo lo que Julian Assange combate.
Janet Hinostroza presents La Mañana, a hard-hitting morning current affairs show on commercial broadcaster Teleamazonas.
Amigas, amigos, muy buenos días. Bienvenidos a La Mañana 24 horas. Hoy analizaremos...
This morning, she's interviewing the Auditor General about 40 kilos of cocaine Italian police found inside Ecuador's diplomatic bag in January. She has to be careful. If Hinostroza or her guest says something the government disagrees with, this is what can happen.
Vamos, en este momento tenemos una cadena nacional ordenada por el gobierno. Vamos a ver de qué se trata.
By law, the government in Ecuador can interrupt any television or radio broadcast with its own message. This one's taking aim at an interview Hinostroza ran with opposition politician Garo Lara the previous week.
¿Será gratuita la presencia de Lara en el programa de Hinostroza? Ya basta de tanto engaño. El verdadero Galo Lara, el asambleísta que ha hecho de la mentira y el engaño su forma habitual de vida. Mentira.
Bueno, me parece increíble lo que acabo de escuchar. Que muestra el gobierno, no muestra nada de la documentación que se ha presentado en la Asamblea Nacional, que sí tiene fondo. Yo soy una periodista que se lee la documentación, que analiza la documentación, que no se deja manipular y convencer, y mucho peor, que se deja pagar o que cobra por entrevistas.
Fundamedios monitors TV and radio for these government messages. It's counted 1,340 of them in the past 5 years, totaling around 9,000 minutes.
No son un mecanismo que es utilizado por el gobierno para temas de interés general, para temas que tienen que ver, digamos, con la marcha de los asuntos públicos, sino que son utilizados como un mecanismo más de presión y de hostilización de los periodistas.
Fundamedios director Cesar Ricaurte should know he's a frequent target.
Cesar Ricaurte, Fundamedios.
When he complained about harassment of the media to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, the government responded by attacking Fundamedios.
Se llama para sí independiente, pero rinde cuentas de sus acciones a innumerables organizaciones y empresas, desde bancos hasta medios de comunicación vinculados y frentes políticos de derecha en Estados Unidos.
Human Rights Watch, Reporteros Sin Fronteras, han señalado claramente que Ecuador es el país donde más rápido se está deteriorando la libertad de prensa en América Latina. Y eso realmente es muy grave.
There are few media outlets in Ecuador that have felt the pressure as keenly as newspaper El Universo. Editor Gustavo Cortés is a frequent target of Correa's name and shame campaign.
Es un tipo siniestro que hay ahí, odiador, mala fe, que es el editor general, se llama Gustavo Cortés. Pónganme en la pantalla para que el pueblo ecuatoriano lo conozca. Sabremos responder, señores. Ya basta, basta. Hay que poner un límite a esto. Que no sean cobardes aunque sea de la cara. Este es el señor.
Is there anything in tomorrow's newspaper that's going to make the president angry?
Yes.
Last year, President Correa threatened to destroy the paper using Ecuador's archaic desacato or disrespect laws, a kind of criminal libel that protects public officials from insult. It was a provocative column about this dramatic event that so enraged him. Held in a hospital by mutinous police in 2010, the president announced a coup was underway and called on the army to rescue him. The operation broadcast live on primetime television. Emilio Palacio's column, called No to Lies, accused the president of crimes against humanity for ordering soldiers to fire upon the hospital. Correa sued Palacio and the paper's owners for $80 million. Director and part owner Carlos Perez says the president is a serial litigant.
He once said that everybody in Ecuador should sue El Universo. So he wanted to sue. I think he believes that everybody should sue everybody all the time.
Was it ever a real concern that you could actually lose the paper because of this, the paper that you'd inherited through your family?
Yes. Correa said all the time what he was going to do with the money.
So he was already telling people how he was going to spend the money that he was going to make by bankrupting you?
Yes. And he laughed about it.
The atmosphere in and out of court was hostile. Supporters of the president jeered and even attacked the defendants as they arrived.
Entonces, desde el principio estaba totalmente la corte del lado del presidente, ¿no? Y eso hizo que vaya muy rápido. El presidente en varias ocasiones dijo que él era el jefe de todos los poderes del Ecuador, incluyendo el de la justicia, cuando nuestro caso estaba en la corte, y eso era para intimidar a los jueces.
The president was awarded $40 million in damages. The defendants were also sentenced to 3 years in prison. Columnist Emilio Palacio had already fled to the United States. Now Carlos Perez did exactly what Julian Assange would later do in London. He sought asylum in another country's embassy. In this case, the Embassy of Panama.
Why did you seek asylum in Panama's embassy?
I saw that I had to be protected by another government.
That's a pretty dramatic step, isn't it?
Very dramatic.
2 weeks after the verdict, Correa was magnanimous, pardoning El Universo for its journalistic sins.
Y crecí también con familiares, amigos y compañeros cercanos. Perdonar a los acusados, concediéndole la remisión de las condenas que merecidamente recibieron. Hay perdón, pero no olvido.
How did you feel when the president pardoned you?
Me pareció ridículo. Yo creo que ahí no hay mucha valentía. Se sintió como que era un show. Él encanta ese sufrimiento, a hacer sentir a la gente.
Correa has launched more than 30 lawsuits against the media and closed 17 media outlets this year. But the president insists he's just fighting irresponsible, inaccurate and biased reporting. This is something Julian Assange asked him about during the interview on Russia Today.
President Correa, as you know, for many years I have been fighting a fight for freedom of expression. How is it that your reforms will not lead to the suppression of true information?
Let's not fool ourselves. Let's get rid of these false stereotypes depicting wicked governments, persecuting saint-like and courageous journalists and news outlets. Often, Julian, it's the other way around. These people, disguised as journalists, are trying to do politics, to destabilize our governments, so that no change takes place in our region, for fear of losing the power they have always flaunted about.
So why did Ecuador grant asylum to Assange? Journalists like Janet Hinostroza say it was a PR exercise to diffuse international criticism of Correa's media crackdown.
Y esto es una jugada política que le ha salido muy bien al Ecuador, un golpe a los Estados Unidos y al primer mundo, a Europa, que sí, lo puso en el mapa.
Ahora, ¿y dónde está Mabel?
In the end, it was the media pointing out government hypocrisy that secured freedom for Belarusian dissident Aliaksandr Barankov, although he was too frightened to say much.
Maybe, I don't know, now it's diplomatic, no more politics now for me, please.
Hasta luego.
But in the current climate, holding the government to account is getting harder. According to Fundamedios director Cesar Ricaurte, journalists in Ecuador are less and less likely to speak out for fear of the consequences.
Creo que en el Ecuador hemos pasado del chilling effect al frozen effect. Es decir, los medios de comunicación y los periodistas corren el riesgo de comenzar procesos muy fuertes de autocensura.
I cannot say that I'm not scared. Of course I'm scared. I try not to shut up, but you know, sometimes it's not possible. I have to, not because of me, but because of my family.
Y yo estoy seguro que el señor Assange, si fuera ecuatoriano, si viviera en el Ecuador, estaría ya a estas alturas preso, estaría cumpliendo alguna condena o estaría siendo a sí mismo asilado en alguna embajada, porque estaría siendo perseguido por el gobierno. En definitiva, los Assange ecuatorianos la tienen muy difícil en el gobierno del presidente Correa.